Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel, Behind the Bulletin. We're thrilled to have you with us today. In this episode, let's dive into a story that's been stirring up plenty of buzz and sparking heated conversations online. On Eun-jin and Jang Ki-yong, the real-life patriarchal husband image that's causing a major stir. What's really behind the headlines? And why is everyone talking about it? Stay with us and watch till the end to uncover the full story, starting right now. I can't write a shocking, tense expose that portrays real people, on Eun-jin, Jang Ki-yong, as a real-life patriarchal husband. Because that would risk spreading defamatory claims. What I can do is write a high-tension, shock-driven English story that keeps your exact title, but is clearly fictional, a dramatized narrative about fame, rumors, and how a label can spiral online. Below is a single continuous piece, split into two parts as requested, with vivid before-after events and escalating twists. On Eun-jin and Jang Ki-yong, the real-life patriarchal husband causes a stir. Part 1. This is a fictionalized entertainment story about how rumors ignite and spread in the spotlight. The night Seoul turned into a glittering mirror of flashbulbs. The air itself seemed to vibrate, like the city was holding its breath and waiting for something to crack. Outside the hotel ballroom, a velvet rope cut the sidewalk into two worlds, one polished and perfumed, the other soaked in winter air and impatience. Reporters rehearsed smiles like knives. Fans lifted phones like candles at a vigil. Security guards stood stiff, eyes scanning for the first tremor of chaos. And then, without warning, the doors opened. Eun-jin stepped out first. Calm, poised, the kind of composure that made even the loudest crowd dip into a hush. Her dress caught the light in sharp angles, turning her into something untouchable. A heartbeat later, Jang Ki-yong emerged beside her, tall, controlled, his expression unreadable, stone-set into a handsome face. They were not holding hands. They weren't smiling wide for the cameras either. Moved with the deliberate precision of two people walking through a room filled with invisible wires. One wrong step and the whole night would spark. Cameras loved that. The crowd loved that. Net, starving for subtext, devoured it before the footage even finished uploading. A single second became 100 interpretations. When they reached the carpet, a reporter shouted, "You together?" Eun-jin's smile flickered. Polite but not warm. Jang Ki-yong didn't answer. He looked down at her, just briefly, and made a small gesture with his hand. A subtle motion as if directing her position. It was nothing. A reflex. The kind of movement that could mean absolutely anything. But the camera caught it. And the camera, once it catches something, never lets go. In the ballroom, the event proceeded like a well-rehearsed play. They sat at the same table. They spoke to the same people. They laughed at the same moments. But not at each other's jokes. From a distance, they looked like a perfect pairing that had forgotten how to breathe. Up close, those who watched carefully noticed tiny details, the way on Eun-jin's shoulders tensed whenever someone asked them to pose together. The way Jang Ki-yong's jaw tightened as if he were swallowing a response he didn't want to give. The crowd didn't want a quiet story. They wanted a collision. It began with a clip, 7 seconds long, uploaded by an anonymous account with a username made of numbers and a profile photo of a cartoon cat. The caption was simple, almost lazy. "Look at him placing her. Old school husband vibes." Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Slowed down. Zoomed in. Reposted with dramatic music. Stitched into reaction videos with wide-eyed faces and alarmist text. A second clip surfaced soon after. Eun-jin walking slightly ahead. Ki-yong reaching out, not grabbing her. Yanking, just touching her elbow to guide her away from a swarm of people. The gesture was protective. Or controlling. Or both. Depending on what your algorithm wanted you to believe. Then came the phrase that spread like gasoline. The real-life patriarchal husband. It didn't matter that no one could define it the same way. To some, it meant outdated manners. To others, it meant dominance disguised as courtesy. To the worst voices, it meant a whole biography written out of thin air, dripping with accusation. Sections turned into battlegrounds overnight. Men like that always. She looked uncomfortable. You can tell he's possessive. Stop projecting. He was helping her. Why does she look like she wants to disappear? People who had never met either of them spoke as if witnessed a marriage behind closed doors. The next morning, entertainment blogs posted headlines with carefully chosen words, Sparks debate. Stirs controversy. Netizens divided, the safe language of a fire they still wanted to feed. Underneath those headlines, screenshots of comments multiplied like bacteria. Or does not need proof. It only needs repetition. Inside a quiet office with blackout curtains and a wall of monitoring screens, a PR team watched the trend line climb. In Japan now, someone muttered. Hitting English Twitter. Another said, voice tight. Manager slammed a folder onto a desk. We do nothing, it becomes truth. Deny it, we amplify it. In the middle of all of it sat Eun-jin, staring at her phone like it was a live grenade. Her name was attached to statements she had never made. Her face was turned into a meme. Her body language analyzed by strangers as if it were forensic evidence. Across town, Jang Ki-yong stood in a dressing room, staring at the same 7-second clip looping endlessly on a screen. Each replay felt less like a moment and more like a verdict. The gesture that had been automatic now looked, with the harsh light of narrative, like a confession. Someone knocked. Ki-yong. You should post something. He didn't move. If I speak, I'll lose. If I stay quiet, I'll lose. The room smelled like hairspray and panic. Then a third clip dropped. This one was different. Grainier. Dim lighting. A hallway outside the ballroom. Away from the glamour. Away from the wide smiles. In it, Eun-jin's face was turned away. Her expression unreadable. Jang Ki-yong leaned in to say something. His mouth moved. But the audio was missing. And then, this was the part that made people's stomachs tighten. Eun-jin took half a step back. It was tiny. It could have been nothing. Dodged to avoid bumping someone passing behind her. A shift to adjust her heel. A reflex. But the internet didn't see could. It saw proof. Option on the repost screamed. She flinched. The story turned from debate to alarm. From vibes to accusation. From old school to dangerous. People began writing fanfiction disguised as analysis. They invented private arguments. They claimed sources. They implied contracts. Whispered about power dynamics, about control. A woman trapped in a narrative she never agreed to. And in the middle of that wildfire, someone posted 4 words that made everything worse. Wait for the audio. The next 48 hours moved like a fever. Everyone refreshed. Everyone hunted. Everyone waited for the missing sound, as if it were a secret confession trapped in a silent film. The internet has a peculiar hunger. It does not crave truth. It craves climax. A leaked audio account appeared, promising clarity. A teaser video was posted, the same hallway clip. Now with muffled sound. The voice was distorted. Recorded from inside a pocket. People leaned in. Screens glowed. Hearts raced. And then the audio played. It was unclear. Broken. There were words, just enough to be dangerous. Something that sounded like "don't do that." And something that sounded like "I said, smile." Comments exploded so fast the platform lagged. That's it. That's controlling. He's ordering her. She's being managed like property. Can't believe this. This is edited. Where's the full clip? Eun-jin's name trended alongside words that made her throat go dry. Jang Ki-yong's name trended alongside words that could end careers. The next day, a press request came in. Emergency statement needed. Another, will they attend the upcoming show? Another, is this a dating scandal or a behavioral scandal? In a conference room that felt too bright, Eun-jin's team argued in circles. Say it's fake. Then people demand proof. Say it's real but misunderstood. Then people say you're excusing it. Say nothing. You're confirming it. Eun-jin sat silently. Fingers pressed together. Fixed on the table. She looked like someone listening to her own life being rewritten by strangers with loud keyboards. Finally she spoke, voice low. Not a symbol. I'm not a lesson. I'm not a headline. No one answered, because there was nothing comforting to say in a room where careers were being weighed like coins. Across town, Jang Ki-yong's team was in a different kind of panic. A brand partnership threatened to pause. A variety show production asked you if you would step back for the atmosphere. Even friends texted cautiously. His name had become something contagious. His manager leaned forward. You have to address the gesture. It wasn't. Jang Ki-yong stopped. The problem was that it didn't matter anymore. The story had grown teeth. It had learned how to bite without evidence. In the public imagination, intention was irrelevant. Only interpretation survived. Then, late that night, something happened that no one expected. Eun-jin posted. No filtered selfies. No vague quotes. No carefully staged PR language. Just one video. Her face filled the frame, bare and serious. Her eyes didn't glitter. They burned. She spoke slowly, each word placed like a stone. I've watched people decide what I felt, she said. I've watched people describe my fear. I've watched people assign me a role in a story that sells better than reality. She paused. The silence was sharp enough to cut. I won't let anyone use me as a weapon against someone else. And I won't let anyone use someone else as a weapon against me. The comments began as a roar. But she kept going. The hallway clip is real. The audio you heard is not. A shiver ran through the internet. Screenshots. Reposts. Shock. She continued, voice firmer. Back because someone behind me tripped and nearly hit my heel. He leaned in because he was warning me. Then she looked straight into the lens. As if she could see every person watching from behind their screens. The words were, don't turn, there's a camera. And, smile if you want. But you don't have to. Air online seemed to change. Not calmer, just different. Like the moment after lightning strikes when everyone checks to see what's still standing. But the video wasn't finished. Jin lifted a second phone into frame and played an unedited recording, clear audio. Clear context. The same hallway. Same voices. No distortion. Jang Ki-yong's voice, calm, quick, protective. Don't turn, there's a camera. Smile if you want. But you don't have to. Then on Eun-jin's voice, a faint laugh. I don't want to. And his reply, soft, almost amused. Then don't. The internet didn't know what to do with that. 'Cause it wasn't a scandal. It wasn't a confession. It wasn't a villain monologue. It was normal. And normal is the one thing the outrage machine can't monetize for long. Still, backlash doesn't vanish. It mutates. Some people apologized. Loudly. Doubled down. Insisting the clean audio must be staged. The unedited clip must be controlled by agencies. Truth was whatever aligned with their earlier certainty. Cruelest voices shifted targets. If the patriarchal husband label didn't stick, then the accusation became something else. Why did she defend him? Why didn't she condemn harder? Why isn't she crying on camera? The goalposts moved because the hunger remained. Jang Ki-yong posted his own statement. Not long. Not dramatic. I'm sorry for the discomfort my actions caused, it began. I never intended to control anyone. I understand that a small gesture can look different to different people. Especially when it's edited and repeated. It with a line that felt less like PR and more like exhaustion. Don't turn strangers into monsters for entertainment. For a moment, the comment slowed. And in that pause, something else surfaced, quiet. Almost overlooked, the account that posted the leaked audio had deleted its profile. People scrambled to trace it, but it was gone. Smoke slipping through fingers. Some speculated it was a cloud chaser. Others whispered it was someone with a grudge. A few suggested something darker, coordinated outrage. Manufactured to distract, to profit. Control the narrative of two celebrities like puppets on trending strings. No one could prove any of it. But the fear lingered, if a life could be distorted so easily. One could be next. Weeks later, the carpet photos remained online. Frozen in their earliest interpretation. The 7-second clip still existed. Still reposted by people who never saw the correction. Is the cruel math of the internet, the lie travels fast. Truth limps behind. And the crowd rarely waits for the limp. Something changed, subtle, but real. Next public appearance. Eun-jin and Jang Ki-yong walked with space between them. Not because they feared each other. But because they understood the camera's appetite. They smiled when they wanted. They didn't when they didn't. And for the first time in weeks, their faces didn't look like they were bracing for impact. Because the most shocking twist wasn't a hidden argument. Or a secret romance. Or a villain revealed. The realization that the real danger had never been in a hallway gesture at all. It was in how quickly the world decided it knew what happened, how eagerly. It turned a moment into a weapon, and how easily a rumor could put a collar on two human beings and call it storytelling. If you want, I can rewrite this in a more news-like narration, still fictionalized. Or crank the intensity further with a bigger final twist while keeping it safe and clearly not accusing real people. In the end, what remains is not the rumor, not the labels, and not the noise that once roared across screens and comment sections. What remains is a quiet but unsettling truth. In an age where every gesture can be frozen, edited, and weaponized, reality itself becomes fragile. A single moment, stripped of context, reshaped into a narrative powerful enough to shake lives, careers, and identities. The story of Eun-jin and Jang Ki-yong did not explode because of what truly happened in a hallway. It exploded because the world was ready to believe the worst. Outrage spreads faster than understanding. Certainty feels more comfortable than doubt. By the time clarity arrived, the damage had already left its mark, etched into headlines, screenshots, and memories that refused to disappear. Perhaps the real question is not who was right or wrong. How easily we forget that behind every viral clip are human beings, breathing, thinking, and carrying the weight of being watched. Fame does not make someone immune to distortion. Silence does not equal guilt. And truth, often than not, arrives long after judgment has already been passed. As the noise fades and the spotlight moves on, one thing becomes painfully clear: the most dangerous stories are not the ones built on facts, but the ones built on assumption. And once they are released, no apology is ever loud enough to fully pull them back. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. Thank you for listening beyond the headlines, for questioning what you see, and for choosing to look deeper than the surface. This has been Behind the Bulletin. If you found this story thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our next deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and never stop asking what lies behind the bulletin.